shoulder special tests. So the first one we're going to do is the arm drop test. Passive test, I'm going to take my client's arm out into 90 degrees of abduction, palm down, and then instruct them to lower their arm slowly while you're watching the movement. Okay, good. And bring it up again. That would be a great test, a negative test. A positive test is where they can't control the movement very easily, so it's a bit more juddery because of problems with the supraspinatus. So it can look for supraspinatus pathology, whether it's a strain or a rupture. The next test we're going to look at is called the painful arc. So my client is going to have palms forward and then just slowly raise their arms up as high as they can go, looking for movement again and back down. And we're asking if they feel pain anywhere in that movement. A positive test would be pain between around 60 degrees and 120, and it would be pain underneath the acromion process, so it can suggest impingement syndrome. We're going to do the empty can test for shoulder impingement and also supraspinatus pathology. For this one, get the client to bring their arms up in front, flex to 90, go out to 45 degrees, and then empty can, we're turning that can upside down, so turn your hands round, thumbs down, and then as a therapist we're going to resist, so place your hands on top and the client resists upwards. A positive, thank you, would be pain around the acromion process or the supraspinatus muscle. And we're going to move on to Apley scratch test, so if my client turns around. For this one, it can be done numerous ways. I find the easiest way to do this one is just to get this arm over your client, that's over the top, and this one underneath to try and link hands. Now my client here is pretty flexible. If you open your fingers up for me, I'm going to measure, get a tape measure and measure the crossover. So here we've got about a 5 centimetre crossover. I'm going to call that a +5 on the left side. And if you switch hands for me. Very good, a bit more on that side. So I'm going to the longest fingers that I can see overlapping. So we've got a +7 on that side, and I'm going to call that a right measurement. A client that's not as flexible, let's say we're about here, I would measure and I would call that a minus. So that would be a -9 score. What this test doesn't tell us is which arm is the problem arm. So I call this a test, thank you, for general shoulder mobility. So if we test before and we do a treatment and we test after and there's an improvement, that's a good sign, but it's not really telling us which muscles are involved. A special test for the shoulder, this one's called the speed test. For this one, we take the client's arm to 80 degrees and we're going to go palm up. I'm going to place my hand just on the forearm here and get my client to resist upwards. Now with a straight arm, the movement's coming from the shoulder and it would be pain on that bicep tendon. So it's tendinitis, thank you. Bicep tendinitis of the long head. And the next test is Neer's test. Neer's test, we're going to take the arm into medial rotation. Passive test this, so my client relaxes as I bring their arm into forward flexion, up as far as we can go. And apart from that little click I heard, we're looking for impingement around that acromion process. So it's another test for impingement syndrome. Shoulder test, Gerber lift off. So we're going to get our client to place the hand behind the back, palm out, that's it. And we're going to instruct them to take their lower arm off, try and lift off the arm off the lower back. So lift your arm out for me, that's it, and relax and lift. So we're lifting off the back here. It shows strength of subscapularis. If there was pain, subscapularis sits underneath the shoulder here. It could indicate a problem, a strain of subscapularis. And the last one we're going to do, turn around please, is called Hawkins Kennedy test. And this is another one for impingement syndrome. So for this one, we're going to get our client into 90-degree shoulder flexion, around 10 degree of adduction, so just move that arm, no, face me, there we go, good. And then I'm going to passively medially rotate at the shoulder joint as far as they can go, and this would put impingement, if they suffered with impingement syndrome, they would feel pain underneath that acromion process.